Hey everyone, and welcome. So today, we're going to tackle the three big pillars of cloud computing, and you'll see how they all boil down to this one really powerful idea. The more a cloud provider handles for you, the less you have to sweat the small stuff. It's this simple trade-off that honestly defines the entire cloud. All right, let's jump in. So, you've probably seen these acronyms thrown around all over the place, right? IAAS, PAAS, SAAS. It kind of feels like alphabet soup. But I promise, by the end of this, you're going to see it's all built on a super simple, really elegant idea. So the big question is, what is the real difference here? Okay, so here's the secret. It all comes down to one single idea: the hierarchy of management control. Think of it like a seesaw. The more the cloud provider manages, the less you have to. It's this straightforward trade-off. And this whole progression from having all the control to having basically none is what defines the entire cloud landscape. All right, let's start at the very bottom, the foundation of the whole cloud stack. We're talking about IaaS, or Infrastructure as a Service. This is the one that gives you the most control, the most power, but yeah, also the most responsibility. It's basically like building your own data center from scratch, but without having to buy any of the actual physical boxes. Yeah, think of IaaS as just renting the raw building blocks. You're not buying servers anymore. You're not filling up a room with humming machines and blinking lights. Nope, you're just renting a virtual version of all that stuff. And that gives you this incredible freedom to build whatever you want, exactly how you want it. So you can see the split right here. The provider takes care of the real physical grunt work: the servers, the storage, the networking, the really basic stuff. But you, well, you're in charge of pretty much everything else that sits on top of that. And that, right there, is what we mean when we say maximum control. And listen, when we say almost everything, we're not kidding. You're the one choosing the operating system. You want Windows, Linux? It's your call. You're installing the middleware. You're deploying your apps and your data. And here's the big one: you have to handle all the patching and the security updates. That's all on you. Now, you've definitely heard of the big names in this space. We're talking about Amazon EC2, Google Compute Engine, Microsoft Azure's virtual machines. These are the classic examples. At the end of the day, they're just raw virtual computers that you can rent, often by the hour, and then it's up to you to configure them from the ground up. But let's be real, managing all of that can be a full-time job in itself. So what if you could just offload some of that work? This gets us to a really core concept in the cloud: getting rid of the undifferentiated heavy lifting. All those chores that have to be done but don't really add unique value. And that idea is the key to understanding the next layer up. So let's move on up to the middle layer, PaaS, which stands for Platform as a Service. This is where the cloud provider really starts to take more off your plate. They create this ready-made environment for developers to just build, test, and run their apps. That's why people call it the developer's sweet spot. And look at this. You can see the shift right away. The provider is now handling the operating system and the server software, on top of all the hardware. See how their column just got a lot bigger? That means your column, your to-do list, just got a whole lot smaller. And this is the real game changer. With PAAS, you are totally off the hook for all that underlying stuff. Your job now becomes laser-focused on just two things, the only two things that really matter to your business: your code and your data. That's it. Seriously. I mean, this is a huge win for developers. They get to skip all that boring, tedious setup. No more patching servers at 2 a.m. No more wrestling with database configurations. They can just write their code, upload it, and the platform takes care of everything else, making sure it runs, making sure it scales. They can focus on what they love: building cool new features, not debugging some obscure network problem. Okay, now we get to the very top of the stack, SaaS, or Software as a Service. And this is the one you're almost certainly using every single day, even if you don't call it that. This model is all about taking your management responsibility and shrinking it down to, well, basically zero. No, seriously, if you checked your email this morning, listened to a playlist, or worked on a shared document online, you've used SaaS. It's the finished product delivered right to you through your web browser or an app. It's just a seamless part of how we live and work now. And the examples are everywhere, right? Gmail, Dropbox, Salesforce, Microsoft Office 365. These are all complete, ready-to-go applications. You don't install anything, you just sign up and start using them. Simple as that. So let me ask you something. When you open up Gmail, do do you have any idea what operating system it's running on? Do you have any clue? And more importantly, do you care? Exactly. Of course you don't. And that is the entire point of SaaS. You don't manage anything, you don't install anything, you don't patch anything. The provider handles every single piece of the puzzle. The app, the data, the OS, the servers, all of it. You just log in and use it. It is the ultimate zero management solution. All right, so let's pull this all together. We're going to do one last, simple comparison to really lock in these ideas and see how the whole framework fits together. This little cheat sheet lays it all out perfectly. Just look. As you go down the rows from IAAS to PAAS to SAAS, you can literally watch the responsibility shift. The you manage column shrinks from a whole lot to just a little to absolutely nothing. And at the same time, the provider manages column just keeps growing until it's everything. It's that trade-off, visualized. And hey, if you need one last little trick to remember all this, just think about getting dinner. IAAS, that's like renting a commercial kitchen. You get the stove and the fridge, but you gotta bring all your own ingredients and recipes. PAAS is like one of those meal kit delivery services. All the ingredients are prepped and sent to your door. You just have to do the final assembly and cooking. And SaaS, that's just going out to a restaurant. You show up, you order, and you enjoy the meal. No cooking, no cleanup, no work. So, the big takeaway, the central truth that ties this all together is this. Every step up that ladder, from IAAS to PAAS to SaaS, is about freeing you from more of that operational weight. It's about letting you offload all that background maintenance so you can pour your energy into what actually matters, innovating and actually growing your business. And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to think about. In a world where all that heavy lifting is just handled for you, and where incredible tools are available with a click, all the old excuses kind of fade away. So when all that boring, tedious work is finally gone, what will you choose to build?